So it is our time, guys. Today, 10th of February, 2024. It is a beautiful Saturday for UK.
Yes.
It's not raining yet, so it's very good. So let's do our prayer. Master Jesus, spiritual friends, this is another Saturday where we get together to study about mediumship, the subject that will enlighten our path, our lives, helping ourselves to help others. That this study could be tuned with your will. Give us the intuition. Give us the courage, why not, to make some questions. To benefit from this encounter. Once again, be with us today and always. So be it.
Amen.
Oh, let me share my screen with you all. Yeah, let me just organize that here. Here. Okay. My Acrobat has changed. So today we are continuing the subject regarding animals. And the item we're starting today is 235. In any case, the above experiments leave the principal question intact. For even though somnambulism can be imitated.
Anna, my dear, I need to speak to you, but at the moment
Can be imitated. That does not negate the actual existence of the faculty. And the imitation of mediumship in the birds proves nothing against the possibility of similar faculty in them or in other animals. Therefore, what we must determine is whether or not animals are as capable as humans to serve as intermediaries for spirits and their intelligence communications. It would at first seem logical to suppose that a living being that is gifted with a certain degree of intelligence would be more appropriate for such a effect than an inert, lifeless object, a table, for example. However, such is not the case. A spirit's dissertation on the issue. The issue of mediumship in animals is fully resolved in the following dissertation given by one of the spirits, whose profundity and sagacity may be appreciated in many quotations that we have already cited. To better appreciate the value of his comments, it is essential that we recall his previous explanation in number 2025 above, concerning the whole of mediums and the transmission of communications. The following communications was given in the Parisian Society of Spiritist Studies, following a discussion on the matter. Interesting to see that during Kardec's time, they used to get together before their studies. They had some subjects, they had some, why not say, arguments about some topics. And from time to time, the spiritual world, they came to also share their point of view in the matter. Today, I shall address the issue of mediumship in animals, which has been brought up and argued by one of your most avid members, in virtue of the maxim, the one who can do the most can do the least. He believes that we should be able to mediuminize birds and other animals, using them to communicate with humans species. It is what you call in philosophy, and more particularly in logic, purely and simply a sophism. He said, since spirits can animalize inert matter, such as a table, a chair, or a piano, they should with more reason be able to animalize already animated matter, especially birds. Nevertheless, this is not and cannot be the case within the normal law of spiritism. First, let us consider things for a moment. What is a medium? A medium is the individual being who serves as an intermediary for spirits so that they can easily communicate with humans, incarnated spirits. Therefore, without a medium, there can be no tangible mental, written, physical, or any other type of communication. I'll read that again. Therefore, without a medium, there can be no tangible, mental, written, physical, or any other type of communication. There is a principle that I am sure all spiritists accept. Similar acts through similars, unlike the dissimilars. Well, what are the similars of spirits if not incarnate or discarnate spirits? It is necessary to repeat this incessantly. Is it necessary to repeat it incessantly? Well then, I will repeat it again. Your and our perispirits are drawn from the same environment. They are of identical nature. In a word, they are similars. They both possess a capacity of assimilation that is more developed or less so, and magnetization that is more vigorous or less so, which enables discarnated and incarnated spirits very quickly and easily to establish a connection. Thus, that pertains specifically to mediums, to the very essence of their individuality, is a special affinity and at the same time a special power of expansion that suppresses in them every possibility of rejection, establishing between them and us a kind of current or fusion that facilitates our communication. It is ultimately this possibility of rejection proper to matter, which opposes the development of a mediumship in most of those who are not mediums. People are always eager to exaggerate everything. Some, and I do not mean materialists, deny the animals even have soul, while others want to see them as possessing one that is similar to ours. Why would they want to confuse the perfectible with imperfectible? No, no. Be assured of this. The fire that animates animals, that breath that enables them to act, moves and speak in their own language, does not at present have any ability to mix, unite, or merge with the divine breath, the ethereal soul, the spirit. In short, that which animates the essentially perfectible being, the human beings, ruler of all terrestrial creatures. Now, isn't it this essential condition of perfectibility that endowed the human species with a superiority over all other earthly species? Thus, you should realize that there can be no individuals of any other species living on the earth that are similar to human beings, who alone are perfectible in themselves, in their works. This is a lengthy one. Oh dear. So let me stop here a little bit. I think he made very clear, using the perispirit as one of the main points that would justify why a human spirit cannot communicate through an animal spirit, right? I understand that there are some different beliefs that believe that we, when we discarnate, we can return as an animal, as a pet or whatever. And then after again, we can be something else. But through these studies of perispirits, we see that is not a possibility. That's not going to happen. Harmonia.
Hello, Guilherme. Good morning, everyone. Yes, Guilherme, while you were reading the text, and what came into my mind, according to some of the words there, is that if a person who has no trace of mediumship cannot be used as a medium, how could an animal, could be used as a medium? So I made this association, if spirits cannot communicate, mediumistically speaking, through someone who has no trace whatsoever of mediumship or mediumistic faculty, why would then they use animals?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very good point.
They can't alter the nature of those who have no mediumship.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And because it is a perispirit to perispirit process, even it mentioned there material manifestation, when you have movement of objects and so on, we need a medium the effects, physical effects to be able to donate fluids for that to happen. But yeah, I think it's clear to me, following along those lines.
Yeah, well, I'm 100% with you, Munir. I never had any kind of thought like that in that line, but there's some people that do. Hi, Osoli.
Morning, everybody. But I don't know it. I told last week about Mozart, a Belgian Canario. I don't know it. I told about no, but maybe not. It was we had a Belgian Canario. I go to my husband because he had everything, and I said, "Oh, what I what I will do with a present gift our wedding." So I go in a Belgian Canary. I buy it and I go to him. Mozart sung a wonderful song. It's also time goes, and Canary can live a long life. Yes, and one night, my husband was my first husband. He was a medium, a natural medium, but he never remember what happens and so. And he that time he believed in anything. One night, it was very, very cold in São Paulo, and I took something to cover him in our bibliothèque, because it was very, very cold there. And I remember on a telephone lamp, he said, no, you must turn out this. I said, no, I don't want to do it, because I understood it immediately that he was in Medium's works. And mad, but Mozart was there in Virgin, and he was like one flight. So once has I don't know what name this one was open. He was excited, extremely excited, and then and because he saw, I know he saw something. I know, but it is not that he is medium. No, I think it was instinct. Said to him that something happens there. I think so. And I told to the spirit, because my husband had drunk very much, and of course, and was sleeping, and then the spirit would like help us. I would like help her, but I said to him, yes, I know, my Lord, but first you must have your help. So I thought, because I saw this, and like a träsk, träsk in Swedish. I saw pantano, and some trees there. So no good trees, so the trees. And I know he was, and I tried to talk something and I help. Yes, I think he would like to help, but he came with spirit alcoholics.
Okay,
way.
a good
Yes.
example. A good example. Let me give the opportunity now to Liz a little bit as well. Hi,
Okay.
Liz.
Hi, everyone. I think all of us can recall or remember or have read of the amazing activities and actions that animals have done, especially where humans are concerned. But I think that confusion could be where they, are thinking it's mediumship. Perhaps it's like a particular kind of animal magnetism. They certainly have telepathy, or at least my dogs do, because I use that as a form of training. So what would we call that kind of shall we say modality, or that animals do have when they're not mediums, but they have this ability to connect and do some amazing feats like emergencies, rescue, or warnings and things like that.
Yep. Yeah, good example. So let me continue a little bit. Can the dog, whose intelligence is great amongst the animals, and who has become humankind friends and companion, perfect itself through its own initiative? No one would dare affirm such can be the case, for dogs do not enable other dogs to progress, and the most well-trained amongst them have all been trained by their owner. For hundreds of thousands of years, beavers have constructed a lodge upon the water, always with the same proportions and according to an invariable system. Nightingales and swallows have never built their nest differently than their ancestors did. A sparrow nest before the flood would have been the same as a sparrow nest nowadays, made under the same conditions and by the same system of interweaving grasses and stick gathered in the springtime, the season of love. Bees and ants in the little organized republic have never varied their habits of gathering provisions, the ways of behaving, their customs and their productions. Finally, the spiders have always waved their web in the same way. On the other hand, if you search for the leaf huts and tents of humankind's earliest ages, you find that they have been replaced by the castles and the palaces of modern civilization. Garments of animals' skins have been succeeded by fabric of gold and silk. Finally, every step you will discover proof of the unceasing forward march of humankind's progress. From this constant, invincible, and undeniable progress of human species, and from the indefinite standstill of the other animal species, you will conclude with me that there are principles common to everything that lives and moves on the face of the earth. Breath and matter. And it is no less true that only you, as incarnate spirits, are subjects to the inevitable law of progress that fatalistically impels you always onwards and forwards. God has placed the animals at your side as auxiliaries to feed, clothe, and aid you. God has given them a small degree of intelligence because in order to help you, they must understand you. And God has conditioned this intelligence to the services they must render. However, in the divine wisdom, God did not will for them to be subject of the law of the progress in the same way. That is how they were created. That is how they have remained and shall remain until the extinction of their species. It used to be said, spirits mediunize and cause inert matter to move. Chairs, tables, pianos. Cause to move, yes. Mediunize, no. Once more, without a medium, none of these phenomena are produced. What is so extraordinary about the fact that we can cause inert, passive matter to move with the help of one or several mediums is precisely because matter per se is inert and passive and can be enabled to obey the movements and impulse with which we want to endow it. It is obvious that we need mediums in order to do this, but mediums do not have to be immediately present or conscious, since we can act with the elements they furnish us without their knowledge or presence, especially when the phenomena of tangibility and apportations are involved. In our fluidic envelope, which is more ponderable and subtler than the subtlest and most imponderable of your gases, the joining combining with the blending of the medium's more animalized fluid envelope. Those properties of expansion and penetrability escape your coarse senses, and it is nearly inexplicable to you. Enables us to move furniture and even break in an empty room. Certainly, spirits can make themselves visible and tangible to animals, and it often happens that a sudden fright grabs hold of them, which seems unreasonable to you, but is caused by they seeing one or several such spirits who have bad intentions with regard to the individuals present or the animal's owner. Quite often, horses are seen refusing to advance or retreat, or hearing before invisible obstacles. Well, you can be certain that the invisible obstacle is almost always a spirit or a group of spirits having fun in deterring them. Remember, Balaam's ass, which upon seeing an angel and fearing its flaming sword, did not want to go any further. It was because before its visibility appeared to Balaam, the angel only wanted to make it visible to the animal. I will repeat, however, we do not directly mediunize animals or inert matter. That is important to everyone to retain. We always need the conscious or unconscious participation of a human medium because we need a joining of similar fluids, which we cannot find in animals or plain matter. We have a study about that already. Okay. They say that Mr. T magnetized his dog. What was the result? He killed it. Interesting that I have thought about speaking about healing or magnetizing animals. I did not want to say anything not to deviate from the main topic here, but here we have a prime example of what could happen if we donate our fluids, if we magnetize our animals. Okay? The unfortunate animal died after having fallen into a kind of lifelessness or languor as a result of having been magnetized. In effect, infusing the dog with the absorbing fluid of an essence superior to this special essence of its own nature, the owner killed it by producing an action upon the similar to lightning through much slower. Thus, since there is no possibility of assimilation between our perispirits and the fluidic envelope of animals per se, we would immediately kill them if we try to medianize them. Having established this point, I perfectly recognize the existence of diverse aptitudes among animals, that certain feelings and passions identical to human feelings and passions develop in them, that they are sensitive and grateful, vengeful or rancorous, according to the good or bad treatment they receive. God, in doing nothing incompletely, has given domestic animals, humankind, companions and servants, the qualities of sociability that are completely lacking in animals that live in the wild. However, between the fact and the ability to serve as intermediaries for transmission of spirits through, there is an abyss, the difference of natures. Abyss, the difference of nature. You know that we draw from the medium's brain the elements required to give our thought a form that is sensible and perceptible to you, and that it is with the help of his or her own materials that the medium translate in thought into common language. Very well. What elements would we find in the brain of animal? Would there be words, letters, and certain symbols similar to those that we find in the least intelligent human? Nevertheless, you say that animals comprehend human thoughts and can even divine them. Yes, trained animals comprehend certain thoughts, but have you ever happened to see them reproduce them? Nope. Thus, we must conclude the animals cannot serve as interpreters. To summarize, mediumistic phenomena cannot be produced without conscious or unconscious participation of mediums. And it is only amongst incarnates who are spirits, as we are, that we find those who can serve as a medium. As for teaching dogs, birds, and other animals to perform this or that service, that is your business, not ours. So we could not have written more clearly that we cannot have communications, mediumship phenomena through animals, period, right? And Erasmus was entertaining for a long topic, because probably a lot of people trying to defend the point that the animals were talking or whatever, you know. But again, it is very clear that it cannot happen. Hi, Osoli.
I would like to make clear this point that when I turned the lights and I saw, and I immediately I knew what's happened that time, and when I saw my bird, I think I called benefactor immediately, because I knew I couldn't. I didn't know what would happen there when the spirit said, so, and I said, no, I don't want to do it, because I would like to talk to you. What's happened? Why you are here? And he said, I would like to also happen. Okay. And I know and said, a bird, and I understood everything here. Bird is a medium, but I think bird and animals. But I think the bird for instinct, not natural instinct. Maybe he or he something feared because it wasn't not one usually behave.
So,
No,
Solly,
not usually, and it
Solly,
was in middle of the night. So I
Solly,
mm,
Solly,
he is not a
let's
medium.
let's cut this history short. Animals are not mediums, period. Animals have sensibility, period. And anything we think in between is because we want to think. Animals are not mediums. Animals have sensibility. All good? Let's move on. We spent half an hour talking about animals, and I don't think it's very positive for us. I think we need to move on. All right?
Thank you. So
Obsession.
no more.
On this topic, obsession, yes, is a topic that we should spend days and days talking about, studying about. Right? Do we do that enough? No. We don't do that enough. And there's a lot of mediums who are afraid about the subject. There's a lot of mediums that don't like to read books about the subject. This topic is not well studied, at least on the spiritist centers that I had the possibility to encounter so far. We read through very quickly and move on. And this is a topic that serious mediums should stop and study, should stop and truly understand obsession. Why are you saying that? Because you need to be able to recognize someone that's coming closer to you with the signs of obsession. And you also need to be able to look in the mirror and recognize those signs on you, in ourselves. Obsession, we all can have some in our life. There are enormous variety of degrees of obsessions. But again, we spiritists do not study enough this subject. So I encourage you all through this topic to make questions. Don't leave with any doubt. And I also encourage you all not to only study obsession by this topic here. There's a lot more information after that. So go and find the information. But do not leave this topic in the shelf forever, because this may help you. This may help people around you. Okay? So let's start 237 of the item of obsession. All of the difficulties presented in the practice of spiritism, among the worst, we must place obsession, which is the domination that certain spirits may acquire over certain individuals. Let me make something very clear here. Obsession is already a degree of the influence, the negative influence of a spirit or a group of spirits. But we all receive influence from the spirits. And we are not in an obsession situation. We all, every day, we receive influence from the spirits. Good and not that good. The obsession installs when we allow that to be so frequent, become too persistent. And then we have, and we will see, different degrees of obsession. But we all can be under influence of spirits. This domination is always the work of a little evolved spirits. For good ones, never exert any kind of coercion whatsoever. And there is a lot of people that believe that when you talk about coercion, it's something massive, it's something very clear to our eyes, and it's not. Normally, the obsessions, they start in a way that is very difficult to perceive. Because normally it starts with something we like. I like to drink. I'll start to drink more. I like to talk. I'll start to talk more often. And then that will evolve to nonsense conversations. I like to eat. I'll start to eat more. Because what is the objective in that case? I want you to get sick. So that's a possibility. So normally, an obsession starts very mildly, very slowly. Okay? They provide counsel and fight against the influence of evil spirits. And whenever they are not listened to, they prefer simply to withdraw. Withdraw. Evil ones, on the other hand, latch onto whomever they can control. Kardec, he prepared his book in a sequence that he would prepare ourselves to come to this point. We've spoken at length about our choices, about what we like to do, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Kardec spoken about surroundings. I think a couple of weeks ago we studied that. And now he's telling us here on the topic that's very clear, obsession. Evil ones can latch to anyone they can control. Yes, they can latch to anyone. But if we have followed step by step what we've been told until today, that will be way more difficult to happen. All right? I'm not saying it will not happen, but will be way more difficult. Hi, Munir.
Hi, Guilherme. I think you've mentioned very important points here. First is that we are always, basically, all the time surrounded by good and evil spirits. And yes, if we remember, the good spirits withdraw when they find ourselves actually rejecting their presence by, feeding our negative thoughts. And then, of course, we may be under the influence of negative evil spirits, but it's not obsession yet.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that is the domination, the persistence, something that good spirits will never do. Latch on to us and not give room to anyone. No. And it's up to us to attract the good ones or to reject the good ones. But the evil ones are always there keen if they find that, oh, this guy, yes, there's a way of doing harm or causing, something unpleasant. Let's be with him and let's encourage him or whatever. And the other thing is that we have our own inner universe. And as you said, the obsession starts in a very subtle way because it goes in accordance to our inner universe. It's something that is already there, something that we do, something that we like, something that, is part of us. Otherwise, we would immediately notice. I've always rejected alcohol. All of a sudden, I feel this urge to drink a bottle of scotch. Well, what's going on? Why?
Mm-hmm.
You see, if it's not within my universe, it's easy to spot. If it is, and this is the problem, it is a subtle influence that, persists and becomes dominant.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed. When we were talking, Munir, I remember one of the speeches from Haroldo Dutra, where he was giving an example that there was, I don't remember, one spirit or a group of spirit trying to annoying a person, and that person was doing gospel at home, studying good books, reading good things, acting in goodwill, helping people. And he said, well, the spirits at the end of the day said, well, I had enough. I cannot keep up with that. And what she reads is very boring. That is resonance. If we are vibrating in a good way, they may come, they may bounce, but they will bounce back. But if we are vibrating on the same level of vibration they have, they will not bounce back. They will come and they will be together with us for a little while. So that's what we need to be certain of. Hi, Liz. Liz, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, I think what is important nowadays also is the likeness to the algorithms on the internet and how it's affecting people. And there's quite a few programs now where people, by using TikTok or anything like that, they get infatuated or they follow something that they're interested in, and it leads them further and further down. And the algorithms are built in that, they end up self-harming, or they end up further down into the dark web where they're, inciting and become parts of groups that try to incite them to suicide and things like this. Is a really serious issue on our internet nowadays. And again, this would also be influenced by dark spirits. And they will get a lot of pleasure out of seeing people going from, a fairly normal life through following these algorithms that get deeper and darker until, these people need tremendous help if you're lucky enough to be able to get to them before the harm is done. So this is our modern version as well. We need to be aware of that.
I love the subject, and I think it is a massive disease nowadays, not only for the young people, to us as well.
Yeah.
Because it's not an algorithm per se. It's our choices. It's our choices.
But the internet feeds on it. It does lead you.
Yeah. But what happened? The algorithm will recognize what you have seen, and will start to show you again and again and again and again. Let me go to pornography. I'm on the Facebook. I start looking to naked girls, for example. I did it once, but you come over and over and over, and will increase. And as you said, going to the dark web type of thing, going to the bad thing. Likewise, suicide. I just went on Facebook again about how to commit suicide, or someone teaching how to commit suicide. And then the algorithm will recognize that thing and will start to show you again another person doing suicide, teaching you how to commit suicide, another person. And then when you see you're so surrounded by that you do it. Or
it tries to normalize it.
Yeah. Yep. So, but the problem is not the algorithm. Because if you go on your Facebook and you look for spiritist centers, he will also show you another spiritist center, another spiritist center, another spiritist center. If you go on your Facebook and look for Jesus, he will start to show you another passage of Jesus, another passage of Jesus. So on the end of the day, it is a powerful tool that can be used for good or for evil. So the problem lies within ourselves. And what we have spoken a few minutes ago, my vibration. I'm vibrating on that thing. Now I have equipment that will help that vibration to even go beyond what we couldn't have 30 years ago. But the problem is where I'm vibrating. The problem, it lies within ourselves. And then now I have equipment that will help me out. Now I have algorithms that will help me out to go even better, or to go even to the other side. Right? But beautiful, beautiful. I love it. The other Liz now. How are you doing, Liz?
Hello. I love what Liz said. And I think I should add that people don't necessarily need to go to the dark web to do anything. We see that today there is such a polarization of opinions that actually construct a reality where people are more and more convinced that you can't talk to one another, that you can't be with one another. So you kind of start watching things and people have certain strong opinions about things. And instead of going and reading and finding out and get your own ideas, people are just following these crowds. And then we begin to kind of feed ourselves and our anger and things, you know, that sometimes we just need to take a step back and just to observe how we are really feeling about it instead of, you know, going with it. Because what it creates is you look at someone and you find, you know, you have all those feelings because you've been watching so many things like that. And it kind of take away your empathy, take away your compassion for people and for what we've been learning so much, that is respecting each other's evolutionary path and everyone's right to do the wrong that they are doing, because along the way, this is going to teach them as well for their own learning. So, you know, you don't need to go to the extreme cases. It's just these little bits that, you know, can very easily resonate with us in so many ways. But if we are not very careful, we start to kind of navigate in this polarization and actually growing the level of contempt that people have from one another today.
Mm-hmm. Munir?
Hi, Guilherme. You know, I like your explanation about these algorithms and how it works. You know, you see things, the algorithm identifies what you like and brings you more of that. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with spirits, you know. Our thoughts will bring more of that kind of spirit. You know, if I'm into doing something evil, I will attract more and more and more evil spirits because, you know, that's what I like. It's my mental Instagram, you know. And mm-hmm. if I like good things, you know, immediately they'll show you, you know, as you said, films about Jesus, films about, you know, interesting things, positive things, and then we will attract more and more. You know, it's
Definitely. I had the other day. Alexa, she's obsessed because she heard me talking about something, and now she comes to me. Don't you want that? Don't you need that? Don't you? And then my Facebook started to show what I was. Let me just give an example. I was looking into a watch, right? And then, don't you want to have a watch? This watch is very nice, last technology. And then you start to see something on your screen, on your computer, on your cell phone, or whatever. So this is technology working to what we want, right? I wouldn't be surprised if I ask, where I can buy drugs, Alexa? She'll give me a list. Today, I won't be surprised about that at all, because that's a possibility, right? Especially those AIs type of thing that I don't understand. But everything becomes possible. But the root cause is within ourselves. Let's go back to Lee's young age, when there was no internet, there was no cell phone, there was no nothing. Lee's had friends.
Excuse me, let me just point it out that both Lises didn't have internet or mobile phone when they were young.
Me too. Me too. I didn't have either. Right.
A phone had a cable on the end of it.
No, I come from a time there was not even cable because there was no existence. So that's the thing, right? We had the choice. To go with a friend A or friend B. Friend A was a positive friend that had other positive friends and create a positive network doing good things. Or I had the possibility to go with a friend B. There was no so that positive, or at least 50% of the time, he used to do something that was not very recommended. And his friends are always also trying to go in that 50 negative percentage as well. And then I start to get used to that, and I start to share the same taste. So technology is today just a booster to what we want, right? So we need to make our mind what we want. And even when we make our mind of what we want, sometimes we sleep a little bit, we go back sideways, and then but we can come back to the right path, right? There's no harm if you go back to what you used to do, and no, just learn with that. Learn with that and come back to the right path, because we all do that eventually. All right? Hi, Osoli.
I don't have a Facebook, and I don't miss Facebook. Sorry.
Very good. Very good example. You see, we make our choices. We make our choices. It's up to us. But Facebook is just an example. TV. We all have TV at home, right? What do you see on TV? What kind of book you read? What kind of music you listen? We always have the choice. It's entirely up to us, right? What time is it?
Excuse me, Guilherme. I know we have, but you said choice. Choice is foreign acknowledgement and maturity, or growing, or so. And I think when I use you mean some example on your TV, books, YouTube. I like YouTube. I don't see YouTube every time, no, but I have studies there, many studies, so I must see and follow. And I have, for example, not only YouTube, but I have another kind of, but I know what I do. I mean, this is generally, we must know, we must think for ourselves like spirits we are. So, and what I will do with my life in the future, because the future physical is so short, but we have eternity. I think we think about this. I know which book and things. Oh, I do. I think so. I mean, everybody here, we have a good.
Cool. Very good. So if they manage to dominate someone, they identify with the victim's spirit, leading the person as if he or she were a child. The degree of obsession are multiple degrees, and it can lead up to possession, where you lose your will, right? And this is not something nice to see, I can guarantee you, but it can go to that far, to that point. Obsession displays many characteristics with which we must distinguish precisely, and which result from the degree of coercion and the nature of the effects it produces. There's something that's very interesting here. We must. Kardec is not suggesting. He's telling us we must. We must distinguish precisely. So to distinguish precisely, what do we need to do? We need to study. We need to study to understand. Manuel Filomeno de Miranda, for example, he had 13 books or something like that. We did a lot of cases. There are so many others bringing us the information to allow us to acquire the minimum degree of perception to distinguish obsessions. But again, we don't look to that side of spiritism. We try not to. If I study obsession, I'll become obsessed. That's entirely the opposite. If I study obsession, I will be better protected. So again, I recommend people to do, right? And which results from the degree of coercion. As I said, it can go very far. Thus, the word obsession is a generic term used to designate this kind of phenomenon, whose main varieties are simple obsession, fascination, and subjugation. Well, he's giving us here the basics. But inside the simple objection, you can open a window with so many different levels. Hi, Rafaela.
Hi, I just wanted to say this thought that I have, that I think that obsession can be intrinsically linked with guilt. And because of this nature, when, I'm sorry, you said subject of animals had ended, and because of evolution, we were in the past, because we might have traveled through other species and other races, and we might have been animals in the past, when an obsessor with a lot of magnetism purposely covers us in guilt, we can return to the animal shape.
I think you're mixing the subjects here, right?
Oh, okay.
You're mixing the subjects here, right? Let's not go back to animal, because even what we discuss about animals, there's nothing to do with animalization of a spirit. It's entirely different, okay? Let me go back to what you said about guilty. Yes, guilty is one of the branches that can be taken by a spirit or a group of spirit to start obsession. But it's one of the branches. The multitude of cases that could open a breach for obsession, I cannot even count. Obsession is just one of them. Guilty is one of them, right? And as we move through our study, then we'll be talking about animalization of the perispirit. That's another thing related to magnetism, but there's nothing related to the possibility of being evolved from species and become a human, and then there are no direct connection with that. Okay, there's a different subject that we'll talk about that when it comes time. All right. But guilty, yes, guilty is one of those things that can lead to obsession, and it's a hard one to treat, right? But as I was saying, simple obsession may have hundreds of degrees. Fascination may have hundreds of degrees. Subjugation, also hundreds of degrees. Okay, so Liz, you have a couple of seconds before we close the study. Go on.
Yeah, I think what is important to realize is that when you have negative traits, and you find that with spirits that have passed, they're obsessed on people that are still living because of negative traits. And those traits are guilt, revenge, anger, jealousy. They're the things that we have to be very careful of now, because we could also be giving those negative traits to people who are living when we pass, just as we can be obsessed by them, by people that we've upset previously in previous incarnations.
I will, yeah, that's all right. And I will finish our study today telling you that an obsession case may start with a lot of love. And I'll leave that with you guys so you can have the opportunity to find through the week material to find about that or not. And I will be closing our meeting now. And I'd like to ask Liz. Liz, as you were the last one speaking to me, can I do a final prayer, please?
Of course, with pleasure. Let us raise our thoughts in thanks, gratitude, and love to our divine and also our dear spiritual benefactors who have allowed us to gather here today to study very important subjects for our progress on the road to mediumship, on the road to understanding life, and all applications that can help us progress. May we tread warily. May we put everything we learn into practice as we come to this particular chapter on obsession. Because yes, we need to be aware, we need to have discernment that it happens all to the best of us without that discernment. But with your guidance, dear Lord, let us lift up our hearts and know that when we tread the right path, we help protect ourselves and others with guidance from falling down into that abyss. May us keep love in our hearts, and may everything that we do be the basis from which love comes. Thank you for this session. I ask that we can have permission to close it with all our love. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone. So looking forward to see you guys next week. Let's have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.